All right, everybody, welcome to the TTS32 Enrollment Binder webinar about Southern Africa. We've enjoyed hearing about the delight as many of you start to wade through this binder and check things off the list. This session is intended to help you understand the ins and outs of the binder and the steps to make this semester a reality. And remember, through this all, we're just a phone call or an email away to help you get started and make your way through the process. So let's get started here. All right, if you open up the binder, you'll see in the front flap, there's a contact list of all the families on the semester. Your tuition invoice should be in there, as well as some patches and stickers. And then you flip and you see the table of contents, and just behind that would be the enrollment checklist. And there's actually two enrollment checklists. One is for your records so that you can check off as you've gotten things done. And then the second one is to send in with the paperwork. So as you're getting ready to put everything in the mail to us by July 2nd, you can check off all of the forms that are in your mailed package. And you can also just write NA to the ones that don't apply to you or your daughter. All right, so moving forward, the first section is the handbook and the itinerary. All right, so the handbook outlines the framework of our school, risk management protocols, health and safety systems, expectations and rules, and plus all the logistics of living overseas as a group. So it's important that everybody takes the time to read through this handbook carefully. And in that handbook, you will see the full bios of the four amazing women leading this semester. Abigail, who's over on the far right, is returning for her third semester. She'll oversee the academics and is the program head. She's spending the summer working in with Knowles over in Alaska before she heads back to California for some quality family time as she prepares for the fall. Allie, over on the left, is over on the East Coast teaching experiential science classes this summer. She's excited to work on logistics and return to Africa for her second semester. And then Autumn, who's right next to Allie, so she's the one second to the left, is bouncing across the states this summer, exploring some sites and visiting with family as she prepares to teach in a new setting. She comes to us with a strong academic background and a curiosity to explore the world with a critical lens. And then Morgan in the green hat is our fourth teacher, and she is excited to share her passion for math, girl empowerment, and living out of a backpack with this group. And the other thing in this section is that potential activities list and the places that you'll visit. And I do emphasize the potential activities as each semester is different, each day is different, and we can't guarantee that every activity will be available and be appropriate for this group. So the teachers manage some of these decisions in the field with our help, of course, but we can't promise that the group will do everything that you see on this list. On the flip side, though, there may be some other fun activities that pop up for the group to do along the way. So the first surprise of the semester is flying into Zimbabwe, just over the border from Livingston, Zambia. And while in this area, the group will see Vic Falls, explore the Zambezi River, and meet our big blue truck. And I'm going to tell you, as we move through these slides, start paying attention to the girls' clothing, as this might help when we come to the packing list section. These pictures here bounce between the countries, but on this semester, you'll likely be hiking through various ecosystems, doing some community service, like you see these girls painting down there. That middle picture is a visit to the diamond mine in Namibia. It's called Coleman's Cop. And then the semester ends out with some abseiling and rock climbing in South Africa. Along the way, you'll be searching for some wildlife. You'll explore the Namibian sand dunes. Ooh, sorry, that picture's a little bit blurry. Play on some rivers and taste some of the local cuisine. And of course, classes will happen everywhere. They'll be in campgrounds, city parks, museums. Students become pretty accustomed to sitting in their Crazy Creek chair and carrying a notebook wherever they go during this semester, and they start to learn that every outing is a hands-on, minds-on experience. And in the first week or two, you'll meet Big Blue, which becomes a semester for your home for the semester. You can see on that bottom picture, it has some compartments along the outside where we store all the kitchen gear, the tents, the duffel bags, sleeping pads, and all of that good stuff. And then inside there, you can see the rows of seats, and there's little lockers in there for people to store their personal items and textbooks. And then the last picture there gives you a sense of what the tents look like. All right, moving into the next section, the burly one with agreements and authorizations. So in this section, you've got some important paperwork that must be carefully read, completed, and signed. And you'll see references to the handbook in the document. So just a little reminder, don't skip that reading assignment. You'll notice some of these documents, the code of conduct, the acknowledgement and assumption of risk and release, and the indemnity agreement, terms of agreement, and tuition payment agreement form can all be completed and signed. And then there are a few other documents that need to be completed in front of a notary. So make sure to do those right and take some time to go into the notary and get those filled out. And then throughout Southern Africa, many of the countries are requiring some additional paperwork for minors to travel without their parents. And this is all in an attempt to stop human trafficking. So Botswana is the first place that we visit that requires a little bit of extra paperwork, and they require the passport and a certified copy of the minor's birth certificate. And then South Africa also requires an additional affidavit. And so that's the last 2 pages there of the document, or of this section, excuse me. There's one that's blank for you to fill out, and then there's also an example behind it trying to help you understand how to fill out this South African affidavit. So go ahead and give us a call if any of that is confusing. Again, this is one of those documents that must be notarized. And then moving forward into our insurance and tuition section, the third part of the binder. This section covers insurance and tuition payment agreements. So the section starts off with some insurance information. The overview here is that all students are required to have health insurance, and that that insurance must provide coverage overseas. So start by checking with your current insurance provider about the specifics of your plan and ensure that there's a minimum of $100,000 of medical coverage. And then additionally, everybody has to have an ISIC card, or International Student Identification Card. And this card is twofold for us. It will be each student's identification throughout the trip, and she'll carry it in her third pocket on a daily basis. And as well, it provides another level of insurance while overseas. So this chart here on the screen, as well as it's in your binder a couple places. On page 2 of this section, it's a little bit fuzzy, but if you flip a couple more pages back, you'll see this 2018 STA travel insurance comparison chart. And there you'll see that there's 3 different levels: the basic, the premium, and the explorer plan. So looking over those, decide which one is right for your family. And then you'll connect all the information for how you order that card is here in the binder. So you can do it all online. Let us know if you need a PDF of the traveling school acceptance letter for this process, and we can get one your way pretty quickly. All right, and then at the bottom of page 2, you start to see that this medical and security evacuation service, this is provided by the traveling school, and we work with a company called Red Point Resolutions, and they help us with everything from just medical questions to helping us find clinics if needed. And then they can also, if something were to happen, be a huge resource for us. And you can see all their services there outlined on page 3 of this document. And just reminding you, you don't need to do anything for this coverage. It's all included in the tuition, and we register each student with this agency. All right, and then, so outside of medical insurance, there's the tuition refund plans and trip insurance options. And again, these are not required for participation, but they are recommended. And so depending on your choice for that ISIC plan, some of those offerings cover trip cancellation and trip interruption. And then Mango Safaris also offer trip insurance while you booked your plane tickets. So these two are definitely different than the tuition refund plans. And if you are considering doing that, you'd want to connect with the education insurance plans for more detailed information. And you can find all of that there on page 3 of the insurance document. Right? And that, just as a reminder, if your daughter has to leave the semester early for any reason, tuition's non-refundable. So that's your coverage there. All right. And then the last page of that document has some more travel insurance companies, some options there, and then some frequently asked questions. So lots of insurance information packed into this section. Definitely give us a call if you have questions with that, or if you want to talk through any of those pieces. All right, and then you'll see there's the insurance verification form, and that's just the checklist that needs to be returned to us, letting us know the insurance company, the ISIC plan that you've chosen, and then whether or not you have travel insurance or tuition refund plans. Okay, moving on to tuition. So you can see tuition covers all the academic instruction, meals and lodging, transportation, all the activities and visas and in-country flights that we might do. And then again, that Red Point Resolutions coverage. And then it does not include the required ISIC card, personal clothing and gear, or the student expenses. And we'll circle back to all those money pieces later on about student spending money. All right, so there's this document here about how you're paying tuition, right? And your invoice should have been tucked into the front pocket of your enrollment binder. And the big note that was highlighted in there is that if you are registering with fax, that June 15th deadline came and went. So if you've not yet signed up, please let us know ASAP. All right, and then you can decide your payments through fax if you're using that. And then there's some more information about fax here in the binder. And you don't need to set up a new login or anything like that. You use the same one that you use throughout the financial aid process. Okay, we're cruising through here. So the next section here is your health forms. So this list that we're looking at on the screen here, documents number 1 and 9 are descriptions of processes. Everything else listed are the forms that should be completed and returned to the traveling school. And throughout this, filling out these forms, it's just really important to be open and honest about your daughter's medical and health background so that we can prepare our teachers to support her in the field. And I just want to note that if the counseling and psychotropic questionnaires apply to your daughter, but if they were completed during the admission process, you do not need to resubmit these forms. The only reason to resubmit the form is if there's a change in her situation. And so go ahead and please note on that checklist if the form was already submitted or if it doesn't apply to your daughter. So that just helps us as we track the documents that come in and make sure that we keep everything straight and have all the information in a timely manner. All right, and then, so I'm not going to go over every document in the binder, but flipping through, they should be in the same order. So health history form is up first, followed by anaphylaxis, counseling, psychotropic meds, the medical authorization. Again, just make sure you're getting all the initials where they need to be and signatures where they should be. Student health disclosure form, the physical examination form, which is completed by the parent, the student, and then the examining doctor as well. And there are a couple places for the physician's initials and then signature as well on that. And then the instructions for travel health give some recommendations about different malaria meds, and this comes from the CDC. So it's not our pieces, but we will definitely defer to your travel doctor as you choose the best medication for your daughter for the semester. And we tried our best to delineate the times when the group will be in a malaria zone with the maps that are in the back of this section and the itinerary information. So definitely take those with you to the travel doctor so that they have all the info there as well. And just be really careful in that malaria medication process and that both you and your daughter understand the details of her prescription, because every medication is slightly different and she'll need to know how early she needs to start the med, and then also how long after being in an exposure area she needs to take her medication. The teachers will also have all this knowledge, but it's very helpful if each girl understands as well. And then in the first week, of course, as they're going through the orientation overseas, the students will learn our malaria protocols, and then will be expected to follow these protocols whenever they're in a malaria zone or in other areas that have mosquito-carrying illnesses around them. And then just a final note in here, we often get questions about the rabies vaccine and whether or not students should receive this prior to the semester. And again, we defer to your travel doctor's recommendations for this vaccine. I'll just say that in the past 15 years, we've seen 2 bites, one from a monkey and one from a dog. One of those was in Southern Africa and one was on a Central America trip. Okay. Whew, we're going a lot faster than I thought we would, but here we go. The travel section. Let's keep moving through here. Okay, so big congrats. I think everybody has purchased their flight. If you haven't, make sure you get in touch with Mango African Safaris ASAP. And also please email us a copy of your flight itineraries. We'll compile all of those so that our teachers know where to meet everybody and when. So the group's all set to meet in Washington, D.C., or technically Dulles, on August 19th. And parents are welcome to join to get to know both Jennifer and myself will be there, the teachers, a couple other, other parents, and then all the girls, of course. So it's a fun but interesting day to at least start to put a few faces to some names. And then just wanted to let you know that no matter what, if your daughter flies alone or if parents are coming in on the 19th, a TTS teacher will meet you at the airport and get you back to the hotel. And then parents, if you are interested in joining us for this, that information to reserve your room at the Residence Inn Dulles Airport at Dulles 28 Center is on that first page of the binder there, the document called Flight and U.S. Orientation, TTS32. And so we have rooms for all of the girls on the night of August 19th. And it's up to the girls, if parents are there, they can stay with their family in that family room for one final night, or they can stay with other TTS students. We just need to know your plans as soon as possible so that we can plan accordingly and start to get all those rooming assignments set up. Okay, what else on here? Yep, flights are all set. So if there's any questions with that, let me know. And then we're going to go ahead. There's a slide about just those guidelines for passport and passport photos. We do need extra photos for the girls. Oftentimes they need to see those at the border, and one or two of the visas also requires a photo. So that's where we are with that. And now the packing list. So we've got our baggage guidelines and packing tips document, talking through making sure that your bags fit the limits for Ethiopian Air. And just a note on here that when you're getting ready to do the final pack, hopefully your day bag, girls, is pretty empty, because don't forget you're going to have to get all those textbooks with you once you get to DC. So as you start going with the packing list, just make sure you follow those guidelines on the front page of the packing list there, and give us a call or send us a picture if you have questions about different clothing there. And do know that we have some gear available for rent. So let us know if you're interested in anything that we might have. And I should go back there, that large bag, your duffel bag, as you know, it's pretty darn big, about 4,500 to 5,500 cubic inches, or 70 to 90 liters. Anything smaller than that is going to be a tight fit throughout the semester to keep all of your items in there, especially if you acquire textbooks and I imagine a few souvenirs along the way. This bag needs to be pretty darn sturdy because it will carry basically everything on a regular basis. We recommend bags that have some different carrying options, so handles on each end, the long ends, and then also some different types of straps. You can see all of these have a few different options there. And just know, if you have a big backpacking backpack, you can bring that as well. So no need to go buy a duffel bag if you have a big backpack. Just know that we don't want any bags with wheels or hard-cased bags. And then you can see this gal on the left. She's got her backpack on her front and her big duffel on the back. And so that's how we'll travel through places every so often. The day pack is definitely larger than your typical school bag. I shouldn't say definitely, but most likely. And this pack will not only carry textbooks, but it will also be what you wear as you're hiking or on a daily basis. So it needs to be sturdy, and we recommend a backpack with comfortable shoulder straps and a hip or a waist belt, because like I said, you'll be using it on day hikes. And then some Small pockets in the backpack also help keep things organized. Okay, now skipping forward to that next one. As you're reading through the packing list, you can tell that it is comprehensive. And while you may decide that you don't need every pair of underwear or socks, every main item should be included because it will be used. So, like I said, if you have questions, call or email the office. Throughout the semester, you'll experience diverse weather from hot desert days to cold temps along the garden route. And so it's important to be prepared for it all. And as a rule of thumb, clothes should be modest with appropriate coverage and no bra straps showing. The requirements for shorts, skirts, and dresses is to be no more than 2 inches above the kneecap when standing. And then tank tops should have wide straps, and we don't allow racerback tanks as those tend to stretch out. So you can see in these pictures, there's definitely a variety of clothing and backpacks. This picture up in the upper left shows girls wearing flowy pants. And these are a great option to keep the sun off and the bugs off without being too hot. And so some of you might already have a pair of those in your closet. If not, you can pick up a pair overseas if something like that interests you. Swimsuits, you can see there in the middle. We're trying to be culturally appropriate. We ask for students to bring a one-piece or tankini suit. Oftentimes, people choose to bring a sarong, which can be used as a towel or a cover-up, even a skirt, and more throughout the semester. So you can find those again throughout Southern Africa, or if you have one in your closet, you might want to throw it in. PE clothes, not pictured here, but just a note, you'll want something that's loose fitting, either long shorts or capris with a t-shirt. And then this outfit is only worn during workouts. So you'll change after PE, before breakfast. And we're just trying to keep ourselves clean out there. And of course, we'll find times to get a little bit dressed up, like here in this photo when this group had the chance to have dinner with freedom fighter Dennis Goldberg. Shoes. This is a tricky one, as footwear is one of the most important things, and in the past, foot and ankle and toe injuries are the most common injury that have sent somebody home on a semester. So, as hard as it is, we do require that everybody wears shoes at all times. And we know that this is challenging, but we just want to keep ourselves safe from anything that's on the ground over there. And so you'll see this picture, we've got some sturdy sandals. Those sandals must have ankle straps and some thick soles to protect from glass or other hazards such as thorns and whatnot. There's also the picture there with running shoes that need to be comfortable for any activity and fit well. So running, hiking, hanging out, walking. We'll do a lot of walking around and throughout the semester. And then you can see in that picture next to with all the sandals, there's one set of shoes there that are town shoes. So those are optional to bring throughout if you think that you want something besides the other two pairs. And then the camp chair, we use this quite often to circle up for classes, to also use for PE. And every so often, if we're out on an adventure, it might even be a sleeping pad. So choose one without legs. It can roll up, it can fold. The Crazy Creek is a very common type to choose. So check those out. And then the sleeping bag, we recommend a 15 to 30 degree synthetic or down bag. Each of these has its pros and its cons. While the down is lighter and packs smaller, when it gets wet, it stays wet for a while. And synthetic stays warm when it's wet. So choose the bag that's right for you. This sleeping bag must be packed into a compression sack, so it takes up minimal space because this does need to fit into your duffel bag. All right. And we have gotten some questions. You will be sleeping in this bag, this sleeping bag, nearly every night of the semester. So make sure it's cozy for you and fits you well. So there's long and short and regular sizes. So take some time on this. All right, and then all of these photos were, of course, taken with cameras. So there's lots of options that are available. And some people are, they love the photography. And so a DSLR camera might be what you choose to take in this case. Just know that these are a little bit bigger. They're more obvious cameras, and there will be times when they won't be allowed for safety reasons because they can't be tucked away. And note that if you do take a DSLR camera, it must fit either inside your day pack with all of those textbooks that you're going to get, or in your duffel bag. So it can't be an extra bag carried around. And then the other option is just the smaller point and shoot cameras. And those are great because they are pretty small. They can be tucked into a pocket or into a pouch in a bag. So choose which one is right for you, and know that there will be plenty of photos to share at the end of the semester, and with all different varieties and angles and all of that. So we do recommend a camera, but again, that is an optional item. And then sunglasses and sun hats, also key as we're living outside. And we do expect you to wear these pretty regularly. You can see this gal has her sunglasses turned around, and then that's that croaky or the sunglasses strap to keep them on. And I chose this photo because after you've checked through that whole packing list and gone and checked everything off on that packing checklist, which is the very last page in there, you might want to throw in something fun. This gal found room to throw in a little musical instrument. You might have some sort of sports accessory or something else that you want to bring along. So as long as it fits in, double check with us, but you can likely bring it along. And like I said, this is a big project packing for the semester and making sure you have all the items. So take your time, go through the packing list item by item, and then also use that checklist as you're packing your bags to make sure, once again, you have everything that you need. It's a lot easier to find it here in the States than it is in Southern Africa. Another piece that's in here, it's right after the whole packing list, is the water purification chart. Typically, clean water is pretty accessible throughout Southern Africa, but there are times when the water isn't guaranteed, so students will have to know how to purify their water and be ready to do that, especially when they're on a multi-day trek. Along the way, they'll be pulling water and needing to purify it. Teachers will review how to use the water purification systems during orientation, but it's also good to come in with some knowledge about your choice of water purification techniques. Okay, we will be sending a little music device your way about the beginning of August to load music on, and then that is the electronic that everybody brings on the semester. So you could start thinking about what kind of music you want on there. Okay, and then so behind the water purification document, there's this money and money belt document. And this this diagram's also in the handbook, as well as some other money tidbits for the semester. So each student needs to have her own bank account and a debit card. I'm going to go ahead and say here also credit card. The rationale for having her own bank account is that if if something happens while traveling, it's not connected to any larger accounts to compound the problem. So take some time, get that set up. Students, make sure you know your PIN number for your debit card, and also let your parents know that information so that they can help troubleshoot if something happens. During the orientation, teachers will show students how to use ATMs safely, how to beware of any hazards that might exist or things to watch out for as they're using money and pulling money out of ATMs. And so looking at this bank account diagram, over the years, we continue to believe that $425 is an adequate amount of money for the semester. So it breaks down into, you've put that into your account, you practice pulling money out using your debit card, and you put $50 in that US cash into your money belt. And then when you get to the semester, you have $375 in the account. Okay, and so then from that, we encourage everybody to have $75 for tips, and I'll come back to that in a minute. And then the remaining spending money would be $300 in the account plus that $50 in cash. So that breaks down to about $25 a week. And now some students may choose to spend more or less from one week to the other. So that all depends on each family and the limits you impose. So take time as a family to talk about that. Like I showed you earlier, the traveling school covers basically everything on the semester. It's just student personal spending money, you know, so for some sweet treats along the way, or to buy some more shampoo, probably some souvenirs. Those things are what that $350 is meant for. And to help with learning how to budget and spending money wisely, part of the iLife curriculum is also learning about budgets, and students will turn in a weekly budget to practice their tracking their spending and thinking about their spending habits. And this is one of those lessons that can transfer forward throughout life. Okay, and so coming back to that $75 for tips, TTS will regularly tip with, you know, the program money, but we also want students to feel to learn this skill. And so we want students to be aware of tipping and tipping in other cultures and contribute to that, to those who have a larger impact on the semester. So whether it's river or climbing guides, the truck driver and the cook, or other people that are that spend time with the semester, we think that that's an important part. So the teachers will discuss how student tipping works once the group is all together over there in Southern Africa. But like I said, if each student is ready to contribute $75. Okay, we've got a little bit more on money here. So everybody needs to have a money belt that fits around your waist and goes under your clothes. Okay, so nothing around the neck. I think neck is the main one, or purses, things like that. We want to be discreet with all of our valuables. Okay, so when you get on your flight from your home airport over to Washington, D.C., that money belt should be on, and there should be a passport in there, the international student ID card, the ATM or debit card with, like I said, that limited amount of money, and then some U.S. cash, and because that's also accepted at places throughout the region, so it's just a good backup to have. The insurance card, and then also a Visa credit card in a student's name. And we do want each student to have their own credit card. From our perspective, the credit card should only be used for emergencies, but each family can talk about how you want your daughter to use that credit card and whether it could be used differently. It's also a backup in case something happens. So we've heard that in recent semesters, some families have had trouble getting a credit card in their daughter's name. And so again, you know, strive to do that, but if you can't, there are a few other options. You can get a prepaid card from a bank or a Visa travel card. And if you choose one of these options, just be very careful that the card will work overseas. It seems that some of those prepaid cards, especially the ones that you buy at, you know, a Target or a Walmart or a grocery store, are not able to work overseas. So take a little bit of time, do your research, and make sure that you get a card that does work. And as far as ATM or debit card, I would recommend a debit card just because that can be used at places outside of an ATM. So again, it's just more usable if your daughter needs it overseas. And then that bottom picture there is what we call a third pocket. It's a little coin purse. She'll carry that on a regular basis. So it's just over the size of a credit card, so pretty small and discreet, and teachers will talk through how to carry that appropriately, and then also what should be in there on a daily basis. So, we made it through the binder. All right, and we're almost done with the webinar. Just want to talk through a couple more things. The communication piece. As you know, girls don't travel with phones, computers, or tablets. So we do keep a private blog with posts from the teachers and the students throughout the semester. And we do our best to update this blog with photos, but it all depends on the internet connections and whether teachers can send us photos. So as well, along with that private blog, we strive to do phone calls about every 2 weeks. And so we will send out a Google Doc for parents to sign up with time slots and then coach you how to make a call into the group. Okay, and so this takes a little bit of time, and this is why we do suggest that you set up the 2 different Skype accounts so that as parents, you can use Skype to call overseas, and then also if your daughter finds internet during her town time or at a hostel, then she can use her Skype account to call you. So that's why we recommend the 2. So that's about phones, and then also letters. When Jennifer goes over for the campus visit, she'll bring letters to the students, and then again, she'll return home with letters from the girls, and we'll mail them once Jennifer's back in Bozeman for a little bit more reliable mail system. One last note about communication. It's just, every semester is a little bit different, but we found that, Hotmail is not consistently reliable. Gmail continues to add more security steps. So double check your security settings before leaving. It's also helpful for parents to know passwords and for parents to be the recovery email or phone number associated with the account to help navigate with issues that may arise. Facebook, again, is on and off as to whether or not it's consistent and reliable. Okay, and then you probably heard me say campus visit in there. I know that this is on your mind, it's on ours as well, and we are working to nail down the specifics. It will happen in Namibia, and it will be either the last week of September or the first week of October. And I promise that you'll be the first ones to know once we get those dates and the itinerary for that campus visit solidified. Okay, we went through a lot of information. And this binder is, pretty dense with stuff. So here's what to do. The next steps, start gathering equipment, using that packing list, read through the handbook. Again, go back and read that money belt and money document so that you can start working on getting a bank account set up and those debit and credit cards. I bet you can scratch that international flight right off your list. Thanks for doing that. And then but go ahead and email us your flight itinerary. Set up the Skype account with about $25. And like I said, those 2 accounts, so one for parents and one for your daughter. Okay. And then reading the itinerary, the medical instructions for, sorry, I didn't update those, the travel health, and then just the instructions for health forms. Check out that CDC adventure travel info, and then the insurance document as well. Complete all those medical forms. I'm finding my blooper here. That medical review form is your health history form. We talked through the counseling and psychotropics, insurance verification. Get your doctor's appointments set up and completed, and you're quickly on your way. Okay, and then complete and sign all those documents that we talked about, the ones that you can do on your own versus the ones that need to be signed in front of a notary. Register with fax. Hopefully that's already done, or decide your other method of tuition payment. Get that ISIC card. Phew. And then when it's all said and done, please send the originals of all the forms to the traveling school. There's our address one more time. It's also throughout the binder. Let me flip back. I think it's also on your checklist. It is right there at the top of your checklist. So the goal is to get those into us by July 2nd. That's a Monday. If there's anything holding up your process, please let us know. Basically, we need time to review the forms and enroll everybody with Red Point resolutions and with the State Department, and get those flight documents all compiled so that everything will be set to go by August when the teachers get here for teacher orientation. So call us with questions, email us with questions, start working on those forms and have fun with it. It definitely takes a whole village to get one girl ready to go on her semester. So we know that this is a big step in the process. Keep us posted, and we're here for you if you need anything. We're excited to see you. It's under 60 days till we all meet in Washington, D.C. All right. Have a great afternoon, and thanks for listening. Bye.